On October 24th, a divine warning from Archangel Michael was blocked in the spirit realm, but it just broke through. Open this now or miss the shift. October 24th was not just a date on the calendar. It was a divine timestamp etched into the spirit realm before time ever touched earth. On that day, a sacred message, one sealed in heaven's urgency, was dispatched by the hand of Archangel Michael himself. But it did not arrive. It was intercepted, delayed, resisted by shadows and realms unseen. What should have come as clarity was met with confusion. What should have burned through the noise was silenced by forces that tremble at the sound of truth. There was a hush in the heavenlies, a strange stillness not born of peace but of resistance. The silence wasn't absence, it was warfare. Michael, the guardian of divine intelligence, carried a message meant to shield the chosen, a warning to reroute destiny, to block demonic ambushes, to alert those who carry light through this darkened world. But as the word traveled, something rose up to stop it. A veil, a wall, a blockade in the spirit realm. And for days nothing. You felt it, didn't you? The emptiness in your prayer, the delay in your clarity, the unease that no word could name. Because what was meant to reach you on October 24th was detained. But now, the atmosphere has split. The resistance has been broken. What was blocked has broken through. The silence has been shattered by holy fire, and Michael's message has finally touched the earth. But this word is not for everyone. This is not a general release, it is sacred, selective, specific. It is for those who feel the pulse of heaven before it speaks, for those whose spirit has already been stirred without knowing why. If your heart is racing, if your soul is leaning in, you are one of them. You are meant to receive this. You are marked for this divine delivery. Be still. Be silent. Listen now. This message carries the sound of heaven's urgency, and your destiny is listening for it. Type "I receive this word" in the comments if your spirit confirms this. Lesson code 444 has now been released over your life. Hear now the thunderous voice carried by the wind of eternity, the voice of Archangel Michael, the warrior of light, commander of the host, guardian of divine transmissions, and the fiercest enforcer of heaven's warnings. He who stands between realms, who pierces darkness with flame, who draws his sword not for spectacle but for the salvation of the chosen. He speaks now. There hath been a cosmic interception. Do not be deceived. This delay was not technological, not emotional, not coincidental. It was spiritual, it was violent. For 7 days, the heavens rumbled with pressure as a divine alert, sealed with light and written in the ink of urgency, was withheld by resistance in the unseen realm. A message designed to warn you, to protect you, to realign you, was targeted by principalities. But as the sun pierced the sky this morning, so too did the message break through the veil. Michael's voice has finally reached you, and with it, the weight of warning, the fire of revelation, the blade of clarity. You not scroll past this moment. Within the next 24 hours, you must fully discern the call that's being whispered to your soul. Heaven will not wait for confusion to settle, it is moving. And if you miss the wave, you may miss what was meant to carry you into your next divine alignment. You felt the trembling, haven't you? The dreams that didn't make sense. The conversations that felt like veiled warnings. The eyes watching but not speaking. The restless tossing in the night. The inner pressure, without explanation. These were not random. They were spiritual precursors, signs that something greater was attempting to make contact with you. And now, it has. This message isn't public news. It's private revelation. It is encoded for those whose ears have been tuned by tears, whose hearts have been pierced by purpose, whose spirit has not drowned in distraction. If you've made it this far, it is because heaven has pulled you into this moment. This was an appointment, not an accident. I do not speak of my own authority. I speak under Michael's mantle. His fire burns through dissection tonight. His sword has carved this word into time. The interference is over, but the urgency remains. What comes next cannot be navigated by human understanding alone. You must be alert, aware, awakened. So pause, breathe, shut out the noise, close the door, silence the phone, prepare yourself. This is not just another word. This is a spiritual transmission. It is coded with divine light, and heaven is watching for your response. Will you receive it, or will you return to slumber? Will you awaken, or will you dismiss the knock at your door? Because this is the sound of heaven's urgency. And urgency is not chaos. It is clarity wrapped in holy fire. You're not here by coincidence. You're here because something inside you knows this moment is sacred. Type "I am listening" in the comments if your spirit is tuned to this frequency. Blessing code 1101 is opening doors in the next 24 hours. Round the date of October 24th, something shifted in the atmosphere. Something you couldn't explain. It wasn't visible, it wasn't audible, but it was deeply felt. A strange turbulence entered your emotional space. Conversations turned cold. Familiar faces became distant. People started acting as though they knew something you did. Silence fell over moments where words used to flow. Glances became heavy. Trust felt fragile. You were walking through your days, but the ground beneath your spirit trembled with an invisible tension. And now you know why. A message from heaven was trying to break through, and something tried to block it. You felt the tension in your chest, didn't you? The strange irritability. The surge of emotions without a cause. The sleeplessness. The dreams that came without clarity but carried a weight you couldn't shake. You tried to reason it away. You tried to pray it off. You blamed yourself, your season, your circumstance. But what you were experiencing wasn't emotional chaos. It was spiritual resistance. Your spirit was responding to a war you couldn't see. Round October 24th, spiritual resistance reached its peak. Forces of confusion, sabotage, and delay were deployed by darkness with one assignment: to block what was coming for you. And not just any message, but a divine warning, hand-delivered by Archangel Michael himself. This wasn't just information, it was interception. This wasn't just a word, it was protection, and the enemy knew if you received it in time, you would have been 10 steps ahead of the dissection forming around you. So instead of letting the message reach you, opposition was sent to create emotional fog, relational tension, and spiritual fatigue. But now, as the veil begins to lift, you can finally see. It wasn't you, it wasn't madness, it wasn't a mental storm, it was heaven trying to get something through to you while hell was trying to silence it. Those people who suddenly grew cold, they felt something. They didn't know what, but their spirits were responding to the holy ripple moving around you. They watched you not because they hated you, but because they sensed divine attention on your life. And some were assigned to keep you distracted long enough to miss the download. But it didn't work. You're still here. You're still tuned in. You're still listening. That alone is proof that the resistance failed. But there's still more. Because even though the message has finally arrived, the residue of what tried to block it may still be hovering around your emotions. That's why the confusion hasn't fully lifted, because there is spiritual debris from the war that was waged in silence. That's why you're still asking questions. That's why your spirit feels so disrupted. But hear this clearly. You were meant to feel unsettled. The unease wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was heaven's way of breaking your rhythm so you wouldn't miss this holy moment. If everything had stayed normal, you would have stayed asleep. But now your spirit is awake because something greater is trying to break through. So now the question that lingers, what exactly was blocked? What were you not supposed to see or hear or know until now? The answer is coming. But first, heaven needed your spirit aligned. First, you had to feel the disruption, because the disruption was the beginning of your activation. Type "I am awake" in the comments if this word has found you. Blessing code 999 has begun to reverse confusion over your life. As this divine message begins to unlock what was hidden, you now stand at the threshold of spiritual activation. And if this word is stirring something inside of you, if the message is igniting clarity, discernment, and power, then this is your moment to sow back into the mission that awakens others. Every gift, every super thanks, every membership, every seed you sow into this ministry is not for us. It's for the souls this word will still reach. Heaven is moving, and your support is part of the river God is using to carry this fire to the nations. As God spoke in Luke 6:38, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not just an offering, it's a response to divine alignment. I felt led to say this. If you're watching, it's because heaven chose you to hear it, and heaven trusts you to act. If you're ready to help bring more of God's warnings, breakthroughs, and revelations to the world, you can become a monthly supporter. Drop a super thanks, or give directly through PayPal. The link is in the video description. You're not just giving, you're activating angelic support for every person this message will still rescue. Now rise. Be still. Be bold. Your giving moves heaven. What happened around October 24th was not mere coincidence. It was not a wave of bad luck. It was not an emotional slump. Nor was it simply relational friction. What you experienced was warfare. High level, invisible, targeted warfare. Not against your body, but against your clarity, against your timing, against your destiny. In the moment heaven sent its word through Archangel Michael, hell responded with a counterstrike. Resistance didn't come because you were off course. Resistance came because you were about to align. Heaven view you. The delay. The strange behaviors from people around you. A sudden disconnection from those you trusted. The silence from heaven when you cried out for answers. None of it was accidental. It was strategic disruption orchestrated in the unseen realm to rattle your discernment and test your foundation. You were not under punishment. You were under pressure. A divine pressure that reveals who you really are when everything else is stripped away. And here's the truth many never hear. The blockage of this message was not a sign that God forgot you. It was the evidence that you were being watched by heaven, weighed in the spirit, tested for elevation. This was a war over revelation, not possession. The enemy couldn't steal your promise, so he tried to keep you from seeing it. He couldn't break your future, so he tried to delay your awareness. The moment heaven dispatched the warning through Michael, hell mobilized confusion, emotional exhaustion, and relational betrayal to intercept it. Why? Because if you heard this word too early, you might have moved prematurely. And if you had moved prematurely, you would have stepped into something unprepared, and it would have cost you more than you could afford. But in the stillness, in the silence, something deeper was happening. Heaven wasn't ignoring you. It was observing you. Heaven saw how you restrained yourself when everything in you wanted to react. Heaven saw your obedience in prayer, even when you felt abandoned. Heaven recorded the tears that no one else saw. Your response to the delay became your greatest weapon in the war. And this is the revelation. Your reaction to the silence determined your spiritual promotion. Not all the eyes on you were human. There are watchers in the spirit realm, both angelic and demonic, who track the movement of the chosen. Every delay is observed. Every test is recorded. Every response is weighed. What you endured without understanding was actually qualifying you for a release greater than the word itself. This was not simply about receiving information. This was about demonstrating maturity. Because heaven only releases certain things to those who can steward silence, carry weight, and not leak glory. And now, the resistance has been pierced. Michael has cut through the interference. His sword has made a path, and what was blocked hath been unsealed. But take this warning seriously. This word didn't break through because time passed. It broke through because you passed the test. The storm didn't leave you. You walked through it. The silence didn't swallow you. You became still in it. And because of that, the next level has been activated. So now, the battle you didn't see becomes the breakthrough you didn't expect. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven was watching. You thought you were lost, but you were being led. You thought it would war against you, but it would war for you. The conflict was never meant to destroy. It was meant to reveal. And now that revelation is yours to carry. Type "I passed the test" in the comments if your spirit confirms this word. Blessing code 3131 has now released angelic justice on your behalf. Now hear me with urgency, not fear, but fire. For what was hidden is about to rise, and what was whispered in the darkness is about to echo in the light. Within 72 hours of October 24th, the realm of the spirit entered a moment of divine unraveling. Timelines are shifting. Truths are surfacing. Alignments are being reordered. And the heavens have declared, prepare for movement. What was sealed in silence is now shaking the ground beneath your steps. This isn't a random stirring. It's a countdown. Something you could not name before is about to reveal itself in the natural. Relationships that felt strained for no reason are about to expose their root. Opportunities that seemed delayed are about to rush forward. Hidden motives, quiet conversations, secret decisions. They are all about to come into the light, not by your force, but by divine collision. Because heaven has determined its time, and what heaven ordains no man can restrain. But you must be clear. The shaking is not gentle, it is not subtle, it will not wait for your comfort. It comes as a flood, as a flash, as a sudden pull. You may feel tension in your body. You may wake from dreams with clarity you didn't ask for. Your spirit will sense things before your mind can make sense of them. This is how the spirit moves in a season of spiritual exposure, not to shame, but to set free. Not to punish, but to position. There are people around you, some pretending, some plotting, some watching in silence, who have been aligning themselves either for your elevation or for your distraction. And heaven allowed it, not because God was unaware, but because God was arranging undeniable proof of who is for you and who was simply near you. Some were permitted to stay close so their unveiling would be full. Some were left in your circle so the light would catch them when it shines. And this is that moment. Listen closely. You do not need to go looking for confrontation. You do not need to chase down answers. Heaven has already drawn the boundary lines. In the spirit, Archangel Michael has marked the territories. What they thought was secret is about to echo. What they thought would remain hidden is about to rise before your eyes. This is not your battle, it is your awakening. But here is the weight of it. The window is not permanent. The next few days will open and close like a gate. And if you are not aligned, if you are not focused, if you allow yourself to be pulled back into distraction, you will miss the moment you were designed to walk through. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to turn your eyes away right as the door begins to open. Distraction is not just delay, it is disobedience when timing is sacred. So remain alert. Hold your peace. Be discerning, because not everything is as it appears, and not every opportunity is from God. Some doors will open to test your maturity. Some offers will arise to tempt your timing. But if you stay still, stay rooted, stay silent, the truth will come to you. You won't have to expose anything. Heaven will do it. You won't have to defend your name. Michael has already gone before you. This is your warning. This is your moment. The shift is not coming. It has begun. Type "I am ready for the shift" in the comments if you're standing in agreement. Blessing code 777 has begun to move things on your behalf. Now that the veil has lifted and the word has broken through, heaven gives not only warning, but strategy. And this strategy is unlike what the world teaches. This is not the time to fight with flesh. This is not the time to explain yourself. This is not the time to prove your value to those who mishandled it. The divine instruction from the throne room is clear. Be still. Heaven fights when you don't. This moment requires a discipline that feels like contradiction. It requires the power of restraint when everything inside of you wants to react, to explain, to correct, to confront. But listen, what heaven is doing now does not need your hands. It needs your silence. You are not being asked to retreat in defeat. You are being instructed to withdraw into divine protection. You are being hidden for preservation, not punishment. Silence is no longer just a posture. It is a weapon. Every word you withhold becomes a shield in the spirit. Every moment you choose not to argue becomes a stone in the wall God is building around you. You are being fortified in quietness. And in this stillness, the angels are moving. Michael is clearing what your mouth could not. He is silencing the tongues that rose against you, confusing the strategies formed in secret, and redirecting what was meant to harm you. And if you try to speak over what heaven is restructuring, you risk interrupting your own breakthrough. This is the time to sit in the watchtower of obedience. This is the hour to pray without speaking, to see without reacting, to hear without repeating. Pull back. Cast. Meditate. Let your words become fewer, and your awareness become sharper. Heaven is doing more in your silence than it ever could through your noise. You have cried, you have asked, you have shouted in frustration. Now you must become still enough to receive. Stillness is now the signal that you trust Him. Let your journal become your courtroom. Let your altar become your reply. Let your worship become your answer. Because everything that needs to be said, heaven will say. And when the time comes for you to speak again, it won't be with anger. It will be with authority. Because silence doesn't mean surrender, it means alignment. And when you are aligned, your voice carries the weight of heaven behind it. Say this aloud: I am covered. I am guided. I am protected. No force can block my revelation. Speak it until your soul believes it. Whisper it until your atmosphere responds. Declare it until your enemies fall silent in confusion. You are not walking through this moment unguarded. The hosts of heaven are surrounding you. Archangel Michael is not a metaphor. He is real. He is present. And his sword is drawn. You do not have to defend yourself. You do not have to expose anyone. You do not have to force what is being divinely ordered. Let Michael handle what your strength cannot. Let heaven speak for you in ways that cannot be misunderstood or misused. Your silence is not weakness. It is a spiritual stance that invites God's vengeance and divine justice to move on your behalf. You are safest in surrender. You are strongest in stillness. You are shielded by your obedience. Type I am hidden in God in the comments if this protective word is for you. Blessing code 818 is building a hedge of divine silence around your life. Hear this now, and let it settle into your bones. You are no longer who you were before the delay. The moment the warning was blocked in the spirit realm, something inside of you began to shift, even though you couldn't see it. The silence didn't break you. The confusion didn't destroy you. The resistance didn't uproot you, it refined you, it burned away your dependency on outside clarity and forced you to lean into the voice of God alone. And in that fire, something was forged, something unshakable, unbreakable, undeniable. What the enemy tried to silence, heaven used to strengthen. This is the part they didn't expect. They thought the delay would make you doubt. They thought the silence would drive you to quit. They thought the confusion would cause you to crumble. But it didn't. You didn't fold. You flamed up. You didn't retreat, you rose. You didn't curse the silence. You built an altar in it. And now, because of that, you're stepping into a dimension of empowerment that can't be faked, borrowed, or imitated. You've become more than a seer of revelation. You've become a carrier of it. You no longer wait for the word to come to you. You are the kind of vessel the word is drawn to. Messages now chase you. Clarity seeks you. Because when you stood still in spiritual tension, heaven recognized your maturity and entrusted you with more. You are not just walking in favor. You are walking in divine authority. There's a new oil on your life now. And it wasn't poured gently. It was pressed through crushing. Your wings didn't just appear. They were carved through the fire. You didn't ascend by accident. You were pulled upward by divine force when everything else in your life tried to pull you down. This is not poetic. This is prophetic. You have been elevated in silence, and now the elevation is becoming visible. You are not waiting for the storm to pass. You have become the storm. You are not hoping for the shift. You are the shift. When you walk into rooms, the atmosphere bends. When you speak, the spirit realm listens. When you pray, things break. Because what was forged in the fire of delay has now become a weapon in the hand of heaven. You are no longer fragile. You are faith. Not in arrogance, but in awareness. You know now who you are. You know now what you carry. And you are no longer apologizing for the weight of your anointing. You are no longer second-guessing your discernment. You are no longer making yourself small so others can feel comfortable. Because this delay made you dangerous to hell, to deception, to distraction. Say it now and let it echo into the heavens. I am not the same. I am transformed. I am charged. I am chosen. I am assigned. You shifted from waiting to walking, from asking to declaring, from hiding to being revealed. This is not the time to downplay your authority. This is the time to rise in it. Walk boldly. Move silently. Release heaven when you speak. You're not surviving this season. You are mastering it. You are not a victim of delay. You are a vessel of divine timing. And now, every step you take forward shakes the ground beneath you. Every word you speak becomes a seed of activation. Every breath you release carries the scent of heaven's approval. You are moving differently because you are built differently. You carry the residue of fire and the scent of victory. Type I have been refined in the comments if this section awakens your spirit. Blessing code 5050 has unlocked your next spiritual dimension. Now the heavens reveal what was hidden. Now the veil is torn and the truth comes forward not as a whisper, but as a prophetic roar. The delay you endured, the silence you walked through, the disruption that kept you awake, none of it was punishment, it was preservation. And here is what you must understand. The warning was blocked because the timing was not yet ripe. Had you received it too early, you would have acted prematurely. Had you seen too much too soon, you would have stepped into something that looked divine but was wrapped in deception. And so heaven, in mercy, sealed the word until you were strong enough to hold it. Archangel Michael was dispatched not just to deliver a warning, but to hold the line. He stood between you and premature exposure. He shielded you from open doors that were actually traps in disguise. He blocked pathways that would have led to alliances meant to drain, not elevate. And now, because the time is right, because the test has been passed, because your spirit has matured, the seal is broken and the message is flowing. The warning is no longer a mystery, it is a divine revelation. The reason it was blocked wasn't because you weren't worthy, it was because your next level required silence, it demanded stillness, it demanded that you learn to navigate the unseen before you stepped into the visible. Because the revelation that is now breaking into your life carries weight, it carries responsibility, it carries authority. And that authority could not be entrusted to you until you proved that your character could hold it without crumbling under the pressure. So now heaven says, the delay was the design. The silence was the strategy. The timing was mine. You were not forgotten, you were being fortified. You were not delayed, you were being developed. And now, in this very moment, the courtrooms of heaven have reached a decision. The verdict is in. The seal is off. The message is yours. Your name has been whispered in the sacred halls of the divine. The angels heard it. The watchers recorded it. The hosts of heaven have stood in agreement. And the declaration has gone forth. Now is the time. What was sealed is opening. What was hidden is being revealed. What was delayed is being released. There is no more resistance. No more interruption. The word has reached you and it is on time. The people who once overlooked you are about to see the hand of God vindicate you. The places that once rejected you will have no choice but to make room for your arrival. You are stepping into the moment that was delayed but not denied. This is the prophecy fulfilled. Say it with fire in your breath. I receive the revelation. I embrace the delay. I trust the timing. I walk in the fullness of what heaven has assigned. This is not the end of a season, this is the unveiling of a scroll. And every step from here is aligned with heaven's divine calendar. No more guessing. No more wondering. No more doubting. You are standing in the place where prophecy becomes reality. Type "now is my time" in the comments if this revelation has hit your spirit. Blessing code 1212 has been released to confirm what heaven just spoke over your life. As this prophetic revelation begins to unfold, let me speak this with clarity. What you just received wasn't just for you. It was sent to wake others before it's too late. The same way this word broke through to you, it must now break through to someone else. But that only happens when messengers are supported, platforms are sustained, and rivers of revelation are kept flowing. If you've been impacted by this word, if your spirit has been fed, if your eyes have been opened, I invite you to be a divine carrier of this message. Your support makes this ministry of warning, activation, and breakthrough possible. As Proverbs declares, he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. This is the moment to refresh the well that refreshed you. Sow into this word through a super thanks, become a YouTube member, or give directly through PayPal. The link is in the video description. Your obedience in giving is not about funding. It's about fueling the flame of prophecy that's waking the world. Move with a word, and heaven will move with you. Now that the revelation has arrived, now that the delay has ended, now that the word that was blocked in the spirit has finally broken through into time, you must respond. Because revelation without activation is just noise. And heaven did not move mountains, dispatch angels, and dismantle demonic interference for you to simply feel inspired. No, heaven moved so you could be aligned, assigned, activated. This is the moment you must decide, will I step into what I've been prepared for, or will I let hesitation steal my destiny? This word found you for a reason. The block wasn't just a spiritual glitch. It was a final test to determine if you would remain faithful without answers. And now that the answer has arrived, heaven is watching again. This time not to see if you'll endure, but to see if you'll move. Because destiny doesn't respond to spectators. Destiny responds to obedience. And obedience requires movement. Even if it's small. Even if it's trembling. Even if you don't feel ready. This is your moment to declare alignment. To speak it aloud so both heaven and hell hear you clearly. I accept divine timing. I receive the assignment. I step into the shift. Your voice is a key in the spirit. Every declaration unlocks movement. Every act of agreement opens another door. This is the time to fast. Not out of desperation, but out of alignment. To journal, not out of confusion, but to record what is unfolding. To walk, not for exercise, but as a prophetic act that you are moving forward in the Spirit. These actions are not rituals. They are responses. They are activations. They are how your physical body echoes what heaven is already doing in your life. Do not sit still when the wind is blowing. Do not delay when the shift is here. Do not wait for confirmation when confirmation is standing in front of you. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You are the confirmation someone else will witness. This is your moment to move, not because everything is perfect, but because heaven already said go. Here is a door opening. It's not wide. It's not loud. But it's there. A sliver of opportunity. A whisper of now. You can miss it if you hesitate. You can overlook it if you're distracted. But if your spirit is tuned, you will feel it, and when you walk through it, everything will change. The alignment will click. The confusion will break. The right people will find you. The divine acceleration will begin. But it starts with your response. This is not about chasing platforms, titles, or applause. This is about stepping into the original blueprint heaven wrote about you before you were formed in the womb. It's about walking in what was already spoken in the scrolls of your destiny. No more delay. No more detour. No more doubt. You've been refined. You've been prepared. You've been cleared for release. And now, you must move. Say it again. Write it down. Speak it out. I accept divine timing. I step into my appointed shift. I say yes to what heaven has ordained. You are not stepping alone. You are stepping with angelic assistance, with divine covering, with clarity sharpened by silence. This is not a rehearsal. This is not a preview. This is your moment of activation, and the response you give will determine the movement you see. Type I am activated in the comments if your spirit knows this word was your instruction. Blessing code 4141 is now sealing your agreement in the spirit realm. While you've been feeling the weight of waiting, while you've been wrestling with delay, confusion, and spiritual pressure, something sacred has been happening in the realm beyond your eyes. Something ancient. something eternal, something orchestrated by the hand of the Almighty. There has been a silent exchange in the spirit realm, a transaction not made with silver or gold, but with tears, obedience, stillness, and unwavering trust. And though you haven't seen the full manifestation yet, you've already been part of it. This is what the enemy never wanted you to understand. Even when your hands were still, your spirit was active. Even when your voice was quiet, your faith was speaking. Even when your strength was gone, your agreement with heaven was moving mountains. You were not inactive. You were interceding without language. And the court of heaven responded to your stillness with strategy. While you waited, the angels were working. While you cried, they collected every tear. While you stayed silent, they built a case for your vindication. While you obeyed, heaven traded what you lost for something far greater than you could imagine. Every time you chose surrender instead of retaliation, something was exchanged. Every time you withheld a reaction and chose reverence, something shifted in the books of heaven. And now, the results of that exchange are beginning to surface. But before you see them in your reality, know this: they have already been settled in eternity. The answer was yes before the door opened. The release was given before the confirmation came. The blessing was granted before your name was mentioned by men. Because God's courtroom always moves before the earth catches up. There are angels negotiating on your behalf even now. Michael stands with his sword drawn, not just guarding you from what's behind, but defending what is being returned. What was stolen is being restored, with interest. What was delayed is being expedited. What was distorted is being clarified. And the repayment will not come through the same hands that took from you. It will come from unexpected places, unfamiliar vessels, and unexplainable favor. Because this is not karma. This is not revenge. This is divine exchange. What you surrendered in silence is now being repaid in strength. What you gave up in obedience is now being replaced with authority. You felt the restlessness, the agitation in your body, the discomfort in your sleep, the knowing in your soul that something is moving beneath the surface. And that is because your spirit already knows it sensed the moment the seal broke. It felt the exchange before your mind could name it. That inner disturbance you've been carrying wasn't anxiety. It was spiritual sensitivity. You've been tuned to the rhythm of heaven, and now the manifestation is catching up with the message. The shift has not just begun. It has already occurred. The ground beneath you is not shaking in warning. It is shaking in announcement. Your life has already been rerouted. The provision has already been released. The judgment has already been passed. What you're about to walk into isn't random. It's the visible result of a silent war you didn't even realize you were winning. Do not mistake the quietness of this season for passivity. In the silence, God was speaking. In the stillness, angels were moving. In your tears, heaven was responding. And now, the unseen exchange has completed, and everything is about to shift in your favor. Type "the exchange is complete" in the comments if you feel this confirmation in your spirit. Blessing code 626 has just initiated your visible harvest. Now comes the moment when heaven tips the scales. The weight of injustice, the heaviness of unanswered betrayal, the buried pain of what was done in silence. It is no longer being ignored. It is no longer hidden in the shadows of spiritual warfare. Hear this now. The courts of heaven have ruled, and the judgment is in your favor. The silence was not a dismissal. The delay was not abandonment. It was the setup for a divine reversal, a holy reordering, a supernatural turning of the tide. Every lie spoken against you, every door closed unjustly, every person who smiled in your face but moved against you in secret, they have all been seen, not just by human eyes but by the eyes of the righteous judge. Every whisper, every intention, every act of sabotage, heaven recorded it all. And while you were still, while you remained silent, while you chose obedience over retaliation, a spiritual case was being built on your behalf. And now, the sentence is being carried out. Justice is not coming. Justice has already been activated. This is divine reversal in motion. The ones who tried to block your name will now have to watch it be elevated. The ones who withheld opportunity will be witnesses to your overflow. Those who thought they buried your purpose are about to see that all they did was plant you in the right soil. God is not returning what was lost the same way it was taken. He is multiplying it. He is adding interest. He is redeeming time. You need to hear this with all seriousness. What they meant for harm, heaven is now using for promotion. The conversations you were never meant to hear, God heard them. The plots formed against your progress, heaven disrupted them. The ones who positioned themselves against you out of jealousy or ignorance, God is handling them, and He will not be mocked. This is not vengeance from a wounded heart. This is justice from a holy throne. This is not about getting even. It's about getting realigned with divine order. Michael has not only defended your access, he has drawn his sword for your vindication. He has executed the orders from the throne room of God, and no demonic force can override what has already been decreed. What was blocked has now become your breakthrough. The resistance you experienced is now the very sign that you were on the right path. And those who tried to confuse your vision will now be confused by your rise. This is not arrogance. This is divine reversal, and it is sealed in righteousness. Nothing you lost was wasted. Not the time, not the tears, not the relationships. It was all repositioned. You were not being robbed. You were being relocated to a higher altitude. And now, from this place you will see what was hidden. You will understand what was delayed. You will walk in what was preserved for such a time as this. You were underestimated, but never overlooked. You were rejected by man, but never by heaven. And now, justice is not just a concept. It is a divine movement being released into your atmosphere. The same hands that tried to bind you will now have to release you. The same mouths that gossiped will be silenced by your glow. The same systems that tried to box you in will be forced to open new doors just to contain what heaven is about to pour into your life. Type "justice is mine" in the comments if you feel this shift has reached your spirit. Blessing code 8888 is now breaking the back of delay and unlocking vindication. Now that all has been revealed, now that what was once blocked has broken through, now that you've walked through fire and did not burn, through silence and did not break, through delay and did not miss your mark, hear this last word: you have crossed over. This is not speculation. This is not hope dressed as encouragement. This is the final declaration from heaven's throne. The message has reached you, and you have responded. And because of that, the shift has already begun. The warning was real. The silence was strategic. The warfare was permitted. But none of it can stop what was already written in your scroll. Nothing could cancel what was coded in your bloodline before time began. Not the delay. Not the betrayal. Not the confusion. Not even your own doubts. God saw them all. And still, He chose you. Still, He waited for you. Still, He preserved the word until the moment your spirit was ready. And now, that moment has come. You are not the same as you were when this word began. You are not standing in the same posture. You are not moving with the same mindset. You are not hearing with the same ears. A transformation has taken place, not around you, but within you. And that inner shift is the most dangerous kind of power, the power that hell cannot anticipate, because it's born in silence and refined in obedience. Now receive this blessing, and receive it not with your ears, but with your spirit. May your ears remain open to divine instruction. May your steps be lit by the fire of revelation. May your name be spoken in rooms where your feet have not yet entered. May your discernment grow sharper than any sword. May your silence become your shield. And may your obedience unlock overflow. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Sent into a season that was delayed but not denied. Sent into alignment that required maturity. Sent into rooms that can no longer reject you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are walking in step with heaven's clock, and it just struck the hour. So rise now. Walk in boldness. Move with clarity. Let nothing distract you from the path that has been illuminated before you. What once felt blocked has now become a river. What once felt delayed has become acceleration. The resistance was real, but it could not stop the release. It done is sealed, it is release. And you are aligned with heaven's calendar. Type "I am walking in divine timing" in the comments if this word has marked your spirit. Blessing code 7777 is now unlocking your final quarter acceleration. Before you go, hear this from the Spirit. If this message broke something open in you, if it spoke what your soul couldn't put into words, then this wasn't just a video, it was a divine encounter. And you were meant to sow where you just received your release. His ministry doesn't run on applause, it runs on assignment. And we are committed to sounding the alarm, lifting the veil, and releasing divine messages just like this to the ones who need it most. If this word aligned your spirit, you can now align your seed with the same frequency. Whether it's a super thanks, a YouTube membership, or a PayPal offering link in the video description, your act of giving isn't about supporting a channel. It's about fueling a movement of prophetic awakening. Heaven multiplies what we give in faith. And as you release your seed into good soil, I declare, what leaves your hand will return as open doors, supernatural answers, and irreversible favor. Now act. Move. To. Heaven has already moved. Now it's your turn.